Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Codathrone. I am Achyutvardhan and today we will be completing our week 3 challenge where I will be teaching you how to implement Redis Cache in Java Spring Boot project. So before moving forward, let me tell you why we are using cache and what is cache. Cache is a temporary database where we store a recent access data that helps us in minimizing the load on our main database. So, what actually happens? Let's say, for example, we have hundreds and hundreds of users and they are accessing a similar or the same API altogether. What will happen? It can lead to the database crash. Now, in order to prevent this database crash or the lots of load on database, what we can do is if the API is frequently used, we can cache it so that our database doesn't get that much load. So now the question is how the caches are actually helping us. Why we are using caches? As I have explained you in this example, let me tell you few points how caches helps us. First of all, it is faster in response time. Secondly, it reduces load in database. Third, it is cost efficient. Fourth, it is highly scalable. We can scale all around. Fourth, an important point, that is it's fault tolerant. So now let's see with an example or a flow diagram how the caches are being implemented, how it works actually. So as you can see on my screen that there are some scenarios given. So let us discuss this scenario one by one. First of the scenario is when the cache is empty. Let's say a user asks the server that I need a particular data from our API. What the server will do, it will not directly go to the database and fetch the data. It will first search the Redis cache. If it finds the data, it will return it back. Otherwise, what it will do is it will go to the database and then it will fetch the data and store the data in JSON format, and then it will give it back to the server and the server give it back to the user. This is the first scenario where the cache is empty. Let's say when the cache is contained in the data. When the cache is contained in the data, what it will do is the Redis cache will not go to the database to fetch the data. It would automatically give back the value to the server. If in case there is an update in the database, what we will do is we will use a Redis template if in case if the data is added, or let's say if the product is added and the database is updated. Now what we will do is we will use a Redis template. What is Redis template? A Redis template is actually helps us to read and write the Redis cache. So let us say that if we have a key called all products, then what we will do is we will use Redis template to just update the key to the updated data list. So now let's go to the documentation and see what all dependencies and configuration we have to make so that the Redis cache can be workable in the Java Spring Boot 3. So once we go to the documentation, as you can see, we have a dependency. Now remember, we need to add Spring Boot starter data Redis wherever we need the Redis cache. Version can be any depending on your version of your Spring Boot. After adding your dependency to the microservice, you need to add the configuration. As I have told you earlier that if you have created the config, you can directly add to a particular microservice you needed. Otherwise, if you haven't created the config repo, you can add it to application.yml of your microservice. Now in configuration, you need to add the host, you need to add the port, you need to add the username, and you need to add the password. Now how you will get this username and password? So in order to get this username, password and the host and port key, you need to create account on Redis. So let's go to Redis and create an account on Redis. As I have already created my Redis account, you just need to log in through your Google account or other account. Once you have created account on the Redis, what you need to do is you need to go to the database as you can see, I have created a database earlier. The simple step is to go to the new database here. Now once you click here, you need to create a free tier. Otherwise you can use, if you want, you can use the monthly wise basis subscription. I have used here the free tier. Once I go to the database, you can connect through the CLI. Otherwise, you can also connect through the Redis extension in the VS Code. While connecting to the Redis extension in the VS Code, you need username and password. How you will create a username and password? So the Redis already gives a default username and password. Once you go down, you can see here as a security. Once you click here, you will see this a default username and password. In an industries, there could be many roles and many users. How to create them? What I have done is, we will go to the data access control. Here we need to create a role. As you can see, we have created an admin role. You can click on the plus button and add a role, and you can give which type of access you want to give. As I have done it, I won't be doing it. Like, yes, this is an admin role. Now after creating the role, you need to go to the user part and then create the user by giving the role. Once you create the user and the password, you can access this Redis through this username and passwords as well. Now let's go to the VS Code and see what all things and how it is being implemented. Now, once we are on the VS Code, you need to go to the extension part and click Redis. Once you click Redis, you will find a Redis for VS Code. As I have downloaded it earlier, so I don't need to download it again. Once you find the Redis VS Code here on the left side, you need to click on it, and then you will go to a dashboard here where you need to provide the host, username, port, and password. So once you provide these details, you will be automatically connected to the Redis. Now after this, what you need to do is, you need to add configuration to the microservice you need it. So before adding the configuration, let's go to the pom.xml and see the dependency. As you can see, I have added the dependency. Now after adding the dependency, what you need to do is, you need to make a config folder. Inside the config folder, we need to create a Redis config. Now what are all these things? Let me explain you one by one. In the Redis config, you have to create a Redis Cache configuration. Actually, the Redis Cache configuration is to just tell the Java Spring Boot how to store the cache and in which format. Now as you can see, we have created the beam. What is beam? Beam is nothing, just Java Spring Boot configuration where it manages the object of the class. Now when we create the Redis Cache configuration, you can see we are returning Redis Cache configuration and we are giving entry time to leave. We have given time to leave for 5 minutes. We have also disabled that we cannot give a null values in the cache. And also we have used generic JSON to JSON serializer in order to convert Java object to JSON. As you know that Redis only stores JSON. Now what is this Redis template? This Redis template has string and an object. String is for the key and object is for the value. Now you know that Redis template is used to manually store and edit data on the Redis cache. Here you can see that we have template.setKeySerializer. This is the key serializer, means it will store the key in form of string, and there is setValueSerializer where the Java object will be converted into JSON and it will be stored in the value. Now moving on to the next part, as I have shown you the configuration on the documentation part, that you need to have these configuration files in your microservice application.yml. Now data.redis host, you should give the port number which is being there, you have to give username and password and timeout. Now where you will find the host, I'll show you where you can find your host name. So once you click on the connect, you will find here Redis CLI, and here you can see the host name. This you can copy and paste directly. And this is your port 10399. So after doing the configuration, after adding this Redis config, now what we have to do? Remember, this Redis cache configuration gives us three things. First is cacheable, second it gives cache put, and third it gives cache evict. So if you are not adding this Redis cache configuration, these three will be not be usable. So how we will use it? Now you need to go to your service part. Once you go to your service folder, you need to add a cache config. Now this is the folder name of the cache where the key and values will be stored. You need to auto wire the Redis template in order to get the object of this Redis template. Now as you can see here, we have used cacheable in all products. Let me tell you what cacheable does. In the documentation of the or in the flow diagram, you can see that I have included here cacheable. What is this cacheable? Actually, what the cacheable does is, once the server asks the Redis cache, and if the Redis cache doesn't have the key and the value pair, it will ask the database and then it will fetch it from the database and then it will provide the server. Now, once the Redis cache has the data and the key value, it won't ask the database. This only happens on cacheable part. What happens in cache put? Cache put will always ask the database even though there is key and value pair in the Redis. Now, other than cache put and cacheable, we have another annotation that is cache evict. What cache evict does is, it removes the cache from the Redis cache. Let's go to the documentation to know it fully. Now as you can see here, we have written few points here. For the cacheable is employed to fetch data from the database and storing it in cache. Upon future innovation, the method retrieves the cached value directly, eliminating the need to execute the method again. Second, we have a cache put, and cache put is used to update data in the cache when there is any update in the source of the database. And cache evict is used to remove the stale or unused data from the cache. As I have shown you here in the code how we can use this cacheable cache put, we can also use cache evict. Now let's go for an example. Let's run this and see how the Redis caching or caching works. Before that, I'll tell you that how we can update this all product without deleting it. As you can see here in this add product method, we have few things here. First of all, you don't need to get into this. This is just getting the product and then setting up the product again, whichever product we have fetched or the admin has given us to add. Once the product is saved, what we will do is we will create a string like this. This is a key. Products, as I told you, this is the folder where we have keys and values. Now after this products, we need to give these two columns, and then after that we need to give the key. After that we need to have this list of product data where we will also where we are updating the all products. Now in the cache product details, we need to give this key and fetch the data. Fetch the data from the key. Redis template dot ops for values and dot get the key. We will get the values from the cache. Now once we get the cache value, we will check whether the cache product detour is null or not. Once it is not null, we will add the product whichever it is added on the database. So and saving it again by set method. Key and the cache product detour updated one, and we will return the product by model mapper. This is how we will update our add product key. Now let's get into the example. Let's see how these things work. First we'll go to the terminal and run it. As you can see here in the terminal, it's already running, but I'll restart it, and also we'll check whether the configuration file is coming or not. As you can see, we are having this product model. We can get the username and password. We will rerun the product microservice. As you can see, we have product microservice. We will rerun it. Now, as you can see, our product model started running. Now we can go to the Postman and play with it. Before that, we need to log in from the user and admin so that we can get the JWT token. We'll log into the user so that we can get all the products, and we will put this on the header. So when we send it, we can see we have this fan29. Before that, let me show you that in Redis it would be stored. We'll go to the Redis, we'll refresh it once. As you can see, we have this product folder here, products folder. We can see we have all products here, and the value is given in the JSON. Now, what we will do is we will try to add product through admin login. We will go to the postman. Now we'll log into the admin. Once we get the JWT token, we'll copy it and paste it where we need to add the product. Now let me change the name to ffan30. Before, you can see that we don't have any fan30 here. Now I'll add the product. Now once this is added, now you can see when we refresh, we can get the fan30, and this would be stored in the Redis as well. Once we go to the Redis, we refresh it, you can see here we can download because it's not showing. We can download this and we can see that we have fan30. Now in the text, you can see here we have fan30. As we have downloaded it, was not showing on the console. So we have seen we have fan30. So this is it, guys. This is how the Redis is working, and this is how it is being implemented on Java Spring Boot. I hope you will play more on this Redis cache. If you need more help, you can ping me down in the comment section. I'll help you out. If you need this documentation, I'll be providing you on the description itself. So thank you. I hope you like my explanation. You like my video. We will meet on the next week, next challenge, where we will be implementing Kafka, and I am telling you it would be a good video and very fruitful video for all of you. So stay tuned, stay connected, like, subscribe and press the bell icon. Thank you guys. Bye.